So former Attorney General Godfred Dame abusua abom na esi ebo so ewo ne side a Godfred Dame enka obi anka oye former Attorney General onimu mbra yi no abusua echese we refuse ne client Abdul Hanan echese Godfred Dame nso adwane di a free court atachia edwane no na Godfred Dame nso edwane Godfred Dame court esete on Abdul Hanan ne court cases a trial ayeko so a may arrest Hanan ewo airport no abusuya court netina ase on legal vacation no Abdul Hanan ekokopie mu ewo court na Abdul Hanan kopie mu court ne lawyer we Godfred Dame yebisa Hanan no ose ne lawyer yi oyare ne lawyer yare a ontumi embasa na Hanan kra no onte da Godfred Dame edi kan file application the command chief justice ono pa de legal vacation no onkon kopie mu court ne enkon kopie court echina one atachia eneka omadwen eboma ono nso refuse say obekwa akọ represent the client na abusuan right now no Godfred Dame wama aswohye ato Abdul Hanan ewo courtroom a enye asem keto akra yenkonkotie ensema ekoso ewo political highway so ye ba ye de aka ato am so unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell no so send be any update be ebe drop no wonso wonsa ebetumi akabi aha gossip politics TV so na answer na ebe ko Ghana ha say open computer papa and a laptop papa na we use ya borua periodic computers and accessories ho na obenya laptop papa na we use in the location enye Irakwan Owokumase Buokrum Estate Eli Fre number na ego ye screen as areba akwa ede omni se ukra low budget obenya high quality laptop ewo periodic computers akachi ye beda mase momye mbonra ye nsem ne nkonkoti Abdul Hanan Godfred Dame dwane a odwane e free court a wankwa ankopie mu ewo court trials for a client enye easy.
First, the first accused person and former chief executive officer of the National Buffer Stock Company, Hanan Abdul Wahab, told the specialized division of the Accra High Court that his lawyer, Godfred Dame, cannot appear before the court due to ill health. Dame had last week petitioned Chief Justice Paul Bafoboni, asking him to revoke his warrants, directing that the trial of his client should proceed during the legal vacation. He described the directive as unprecedented and indicated that he would not appear before the trial until the end of the legal vacation. However, in a dramatic twist, his client, Hanan Abdul Wahab, told the court that the lawyer is currently on admission and is in and out of the hospital, explaining his absence. Now, let's engage legal affairs correspondent Fatal Bayaga for more on this. Fatal, explain. So, Dame had indicated that he would not appear before the court because of the legal vacation, but his client has offered a different explanation. What exactly happened?
So the business for the day was for the continuation of this particular trial. So the prosecution had brought their first witness for this case to continue today at the High Court. But one thing that was glaring was that the counsel for Hanan Abdul Wahab was absent in court today. And then the explanation by Hanan whilst he was in the dock was that his lawyer is currently indisposed. He is at the hospital, and that explains why he was not in court. And he told the court that or he prayed for a long adjournment so that his lawyer would get well and then return to court for the proceedings to continue.
Well, Fatal, so the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Simsai, appears to hold a different view. What did he tell the court?
Absolutely, MFA. So according to Dr. Srimsai, the explanation given by the accused person, or the first accused person, he does not trust it. He said that before today, Godfred Dame, in fact, he said before the or during the last agenda, Godfred Dame, indicated that he wasn't going to be in court because of the legal vacation, and he went, or subsequent to that, he even submitted an appeal to the Chief Justice, clearly saying that he would not, come to court because of the legal vacation. They had done personal arrangements and all of that. So he says that he doesn't trust that, and he believes that Godfred Yeboah-Dame did not come to court today just because of the legal vacation and not that he is sick.
See, well, so after hearing the explanations from both sides, what decision did the court arrive at?
So for Francis Apanga Achibonga, who is the trial judge, in fact, he responded by saying that the best thing or the right thing for Godfred Yeboah-Dame to do was to write a letter or to bring a medical report indicating that he was feeling unwell and among other things, but he did not do that, and he said he would, by his own discretion, adjourn the case to the 17th of August, where the parties would be back in court for these proceedings to continue. And on Monday, which will be the 17th, what the court intends to do is that at the moment, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, who is the lead counsel for Hanan, has filed an application at the Court of Appeal for stay of proceedings in relation to their, application that was struck out or that was dismissed by the Accra High Court in relation to the charges. So the judge said that on Monday, both parties are expected in court, and then for Godfred Yeboah-Dame to explain why the court should halt the proceedings until the determination of the appeal at the Court of Appeal.
Well, thank you so much, Vital Bayaga, for bringing us report from the court this morning. Now, a private citizen, Elom Kwame Goni, has sued Attorney General Dominic Ayine and Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, demanding that the Supreme Court declares the annual legal vacation unconstitutional. Trial during the period has become a matter of controversy as lawyers for former Signals Bureau boss Addo Hanan, former Buffer Stock Company boss and Abdul Hanan, and others have petitioned against the move, accusing the Chief Justice of political and selective justice. The Ghana Bar Association also joined the fight, appealing to the judiciary to halt the conduct of substantive trials during the break. But that position is first objected by a majority Chief Whip Worsen Nelson Dafemekpo on PM Express last night.
He is the one complaining. It's not a law firm that is complaining. So first of all, GB has no business in dealing with this matter because the law firms are not members of the Ghana Bar Association. The Ghana Bar Association is constituted by lawyers licensed by the GLC. The law firms, properly so-called, as we call them, chambers, they also licensed separately by the GLC. So if you got a petition by some law firms, you ought to have written to them that there's a proper forum convenience for them to direct their petition. But I'll deal with the issues. But I am saying that 26 years ago, this matter was determined by the Court of Appeal. Justice Badu said no. Where a judge makes his private arrangements to travel during the vacation, and the warrant of the Chief Justice says that a certain court should sit and hear a matter, you, the party, you appear in court at the peril, to the detriment of your case. Because if you don't bring your lawyer, then you must either fire a lawyer, look for a new lawyer, or you call your original lawyer and say that this is the position of the court, and therefore I am looking for a lawyer interim. Do you understand? For the lawyer to stand in for me until such time that you return after pro tem. So the lawyer pro tem can deal with the matter. But the point I'm making is that Atachian has so many lawyers who could have stood in pro tem for him and done a good job and acquit their managing partner in the matter. But he decides to go political.
Well, Deputy Attorney General Justice Simsai on Newsnight last night also fights back accusations of selective justice leveled against the Chief Justice.
It is not true that the Chief Justice has listed a particular case and has handpicked a judge to conduct the case. There are 11 courts that have been selected to do vacation courts in the region. Many of these courts, 8 of them, or I think 9 of them, are not conducting any oral cases. The judges that are conducting oral cases, it is also not true that they are conducting oral cases only. a judge hearing a case will determine whether to hear what proceedings to take. That has nothing to do with the Chief Justice randomly or whatever way selecting a judge to be a vacation judge. That is all what the warrant says. The warrant simply says that you are a vacation judge and therefore sit and hear cases during a vacation. And the judge will decide which cases you should hear on the merit and which cases you should hear on the motion or by summons. Whichever way it is, that is the discretion of the judge.
Now, counsel for Addo Samuel Atache, however, insists he will not stop us anything to halt the trials, even if it means going to the Supreme Court.
You can't tell me that when the Chief Justice has given a warrant and the judge informs, the lawyers and the accused persons in an open court, that please, this warrant is not coming from me. The warrant says I should go on to try this case. So if you have an issue, deal with the Chief Justice. The judge said so. You were not in court. It was not a matter of hearing notice. It was the judge who said so, that the CJ has given me a warrant to try these cases. So where do we go? You have to be funny about this. That do not ever say that Chief Justices can go wrong.
But even before he proceeds on that, a private citizen, Elom Kwame Goni, has dragged the AG and CJ to the Supreme Court over the matter. And my colleague James Savaji joins us with details of that suit. James, what's the basis of his case and what are his demands?
Well, his argument basically is that people should not lose access to the Superior Court for 2 continuous months simply because it is a legal vacation. The plaintiff is also saying that the delay can cause unnecessary, or affect the right of fair hearing within a reasonable time, and that it will restrict access to justice. It makes the right to appeal less effective and also allow administrative discretion to be exercised without clear and transparent standards. And he's basing all of this argument on Articles 1, Section Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution, including Articles 19, 23, 33, 125, as well as 296 of the Constitution. His demands are that the Supreme Court declare legal vacation unconstitutional if it effectively stops or significantly limits the hearing of cases and causes unreasonable delays, and that 2, the Supreme Court strike down the relevant rules that permit the suspension of trials to allow for these legal vacations in Rule 61B of the Court of Appeals Rule 1997 CI 19, and also Rules 82 of the Supreme Court Rules 1996 CI 16. And finally, that the court declare that the judiciary has a continuing duty to ensure access to justice, including during legal vacation, and also order the Chief Justice to make alternative arrangements such as rotational vacation sittings on so that the Superior Court can continue the hearing of cases during the vacation period if the Supreme Court upholds the vacation period to stand and not strike it down. MFR.
Well, how will this pan out, considering that first, the court is on vacation, and second, that the CJ himself is cited in the matter?
Well, the Supreme Court, as we know, is on vacation, as you rightly said, and that it is not likely for them to sit on this particular case until they come back from the break, which will be the start of the legal year in October this year. On the fact that the Chief Justice is also cited in this suit, the Supreme Court has held that irrespective of the fact that the CJ is being sued in a case, the Chief Justice still holds the right to empanel, justices of the Supreme Court to sit on the case, which will mean that he himself may not be part of the panel that will sit on this. And so when they resume from the legal break in October, the CJ will be expected to empanel and the case will be heard and pronouncements will be done on it as the client is demanding from the apex courts. MFR.
James, thank you so much for bringing us details from that suit. So this afternoon, the Attorney General has arrested the ruling on his own application seeking to keep acquitted former MASLOC CEO Sedina Tamaklu Atienu in jail while he pursues an appeal against the decision of the Court of Appeal. The former MASLOC boss remains in custody despite having been acquitted and discharged of the charges against her. Kweku Asante of our Legal Affairs Desk was at the Court of Appeal and has now joined me in studio with details from proceedings. Kweku, what happened in court?
Well, yes, in court today, the three-member panel of the Court of Appeal sat. They were ready to deliver their judgment. In fact, the last time they sat was the last day of the last legal year. And so they were ready to just zoom right into business. But because they were going into the new the legal vacation and they did not have a warrant, they told the court that they were going to seek the warrant of the Chief Justice so that they will be able to sit on this matter. And they got the warrant and then came to court to deliver the ruling. But just before they will speak out in terms of whether or not they are granting the prayers of the state or not, the lawyers for the Attorney General's Department were on their feet, and they said that they had filed a notice of discontinuance. Literally, they had withdrawn that application that they had made to stay the execution of the Court of Appeal. The lawyers for Madam Sedina Tamaklu, who were also in court, were not opposed. Of course, their prayer was to the effect that being an issue which legal arguments had already been heard, any attempt to withdraw that particular application should have been by leave of the court, but he was essentially not opposed to that application. And then ultimately, the court struck out the application as withdrawn and did not have to offer a view on whether or not they were granting that application by the state MFA.
I see, and you've been engaging lawyers of Sedina Tamaklu, right? What have they been saying?
Yeah, so we know now that the Supreme Court is now going to be seized with this matter, and that the Attorney General has not just withdrawn this matter from the Court of Appeal, he has repeated the same application to the Supreme Court. What exactly does that mean for Madam Sedina Tamaklu and the lawyers' ability to get her out? We spoke to the lawyers for Madam Sedina Tamaklu. As far as they are concerned, the process is moving quite slowly, but they are very confident that very soon they'll get out Madam Sedina Tamaklu from jail.
As we informed you on the day the judgment was delivered, we were beginning the administrative processes for her to be released. So we have done that and we are waiting. You know, wheels of justice, they move on their own speed and their own pace sometimes. So we are waiting to receive the necessary processes to proceed with her release, but we are working on it, and we are strongly believing that soon she'll be out with us. You know the situation in the prisons, but I mean we know that what we are doing is for her interest, and she also believes that what we are doing is for her ultimate interest and for ultimate release. So we are on the same page when it comes to the substance of what we are doing.
Now, still in court, and Kweku Asante is still here with me. Joy News has secured an exclusive copy of the warrant issued by Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni authorizing Justice Francis Achibonga to sit as a vacation judge. The document comes amid claims by lawyer for former National Signals Bureau boss Kwabena Edubwahini, Samuel Atachia, that the Chief Justice had specifically handpicked the judge to deal with particular cases, including that of his client. But the warrant Joy News has secured, it does not appear to assign the judge to any specific case. And Kweku Asante, again, who's still in studio, is giving us details of that. What does it say, Kweku?
Well, the warrant, I mean, if you're listening to Samuel Atachia, I don't know if you have that insight that you want to play in terms of what exactly is listening. So let's listen to Samuel Atachia make the claim about the judge being assigned to only handle some specific cases.
The judge is handpicked without having in mind whether the two lawyers in the case that he was trying before will agree to the arrest, to work during the arrest time. But here we are, the Chief Justice is saying that, look, you are a vacation judge and try these particular cases. There's no warrant like that ever issued. Do you know what you are saying? The Chief Justice is teleguiding the cases so that these special ones should be given special treatment during the vacation. This is where my beef is. I'm not saying that the Chief Justice hasn't got the power to appoint vacation judges. But the Chief Justice cannot say that the vacation judges should hear part-head criminal cases, especially these ones.
By Samuel Atachia is false. In fact, we've secured a copy of the warrant, and it does not give the judge the specific case of some specific cases to hear. And let me read specifically what it says. It says, by virtue of the powers conferred upon me as Chief Justice, I hereby authorize you to sit as an additional High Court judge at the Specialized Court 1 at the Law Court Complex, Accra, during the 2026 legal vacation and conduct hearings. And so Justice Francis Achibonga sits at the High Court like any other vacation court to handle a wide range of issues that will come within the legal vacation. And it's not true that per the warrant that has been given to him, he was asked to sit on specific cases, particularly the cases belonging to Samuel Atantia involving the former national security couple.
Well, thank you, Kweku, for securing that piece, because the MP for Yendi, when he was on the show earlier this morning, said that he would be surprised if the Chief Justice fiat that he issued would handpick cases, let alone even judges. And so this, your exclusive secure, is quite a good one in the right direction. Thank you so much, Kweku. Now, away from that, tomatoes.
So abusunya we ne ensema ekoso ewo political highway so Godfred dame ena yede ne ho nsem ede brema enye asem keto akra right now no Addo Hanan sisi an court nso ahye ne se omfa ne lawyer emra mepie mu ewo court enye sa na so ebe yebedamase samoje pene kokoti sa ensem we ede mai aha eye gossip politics so